Everybody, good afternoon. Welcome to the United Stand with me, James, not Goldbridge, and Beth's here. All right.
Hi, you okay? Welcome.
Yeah,
Welcome to the United Stand.
you.
Welcome to the backdrop. Welcome to the viewers.
To life. Yes. Well, we were supposed to talk about our third signing today, and then United have gone and had a behind closed doors game. It's just finished. We think we don't know too much about it. We do know who played, who scored, and who came on. Should we go through the lineup quickly? So we got Tom Heaton, Diego Dallo, Eric Bailly, Maguire, Brandon Williams, Matic, Donny van der Beek, Juan Mata, Jesse Lingard, Jadon Sancho, Martial started. Substitutes, Lindelof. Jones came on.
Honestly, Phil Jones has entered a football pitch. Can we all just take a minute?
The pink boots are back. Pogba's played. Greenwood, Fred, Fernandes, James, Shaw. Basically, everyone came on apart from Rafael Varane.
That's not looking good, is it? It's not looking good. Because if you try to get someone match fit for the game next week, surely you would have tried to integrate them into that game, even if it just for like a few minutes.
Yeah, I would have hoped so. It doesn't look good for the weekend, does it?
It doesn't look great. I think from that game, I mean, you can't say on that game alone, it's still quite early on the week. But if you're getting someone match fit, saying Varane hasn't been with the team for that long, you would want him to try and integrate him into that game. But the fact he's not even played a minute of that game kind of makes me think it is going to be Lindelof again. And Lindelof did play well, so Ollie likely to keep him there. But you know what? Varane does have to come in. He does have to come in. But I don't know if that is going to happen.
It's not, is it?
I'm literally quite disappointed, but we'll see. Sancho might play though. He did start,
and so Lingard scored. We think Maguire scored a header, and we think Fred has scored twice in 3 days.
Fred has become a centre forward for Manchester United. I mean, no more Greenwood, Cavani, and Martial debates. I think we all know that Fred is now going to be the main guy.
Watch out, Bruno is covered. A lot of people asking about where Mark is, by the way. And has anyone ever seen Chris Wood, Sean Dyche, and Mark in the same room? Because I'm just saying, Burnley are playing a friendly today. Mark's not here. His best friends reunited. No, it's my first time here. So thanks for all the comments and stuff. We'll get you guys involved in a little bit because we are going to talk about a third signing, but we obviously wanted to discuss the game. Yeah, it's always bloody Burnley. I hope Goldbridge, for whatever reason, is just absolutely losing his mind. But we did win. Does it matter, Beth, to win these matches, or is it more about getting game time, getting minutes in?
I mean, I think it does matter because you always want to win a game of football and it keeps your confidence up from the weekend. I mean, it is only a friendly, and I'm not too sure which Burnley players actually started. Was it the first team? Was it the second team? I'm not sure. But for players that aren't getting many minutes, players like Donny van der Beek, you expect to get more minutes, Lingard, we don't know what's happening with him. Players that are going to be needed to come into this team, for them to get off to a winning start, even though it is only a friendly, it gets the confidence up, it gets everyone's morale up, and it gives the players confidence going into the next game, which is always a good thing.
For me, it's an admission that we're not quite where we are in terms of pre-season, which isn't a secret. I mean, Ollie's kind of come out and said that himself. He basically said these 3 games are like a pre-season, and here we are sort of smuggling in a midweek game. Well, not even a midweek game, 2 days later. So
100%. I just think it shows how much we do need to get our fitness up. I mean, our fitness looked great against Leeds. I mean, obviously I was there and I was watching it, and players were making great runs. We did seem to get a few players seemed to get a little bit more leggy in the second half towards the end. But considering we've not had much pre-season, Leeds have had a lot of pre-season. They're one of the fittest teams in the Premier League. We did very, very well. And I think Ollie is on that mission now, like he's been saying in his press conferences, he's been saying in his interviews, he wants to have like the fittest team, one of the fittest teams in the league, and playing Burnley in midweek is a friendly to get your fitness up. I don't think that's a bad idea. I was a little bit surprised when I see the likes of Bruno on, who's played obviously the full 90, and stuff like that. I'm like, just give him a break. I don't want him to get worn out just yet. But Ollie obviously thinks he's ready, so.
What did you? I don't know if you saw the Bruno interview afterwards. He kind of limped. We didn't limp off, but he looked knackered at the end of it. I think that match was all about adrenaline. I wasn't there, but you were. I mean, I'd imagine just the crowd, the Varane thing alone would get you through 90, and then you kind of wake up the next morning like, fuck.
Yeah, and plus he got fouled quite a few times as well on his ankles and stuff. So, do you know, when you've not been playing football properly, you're not used to like that part of it. I mean, you saw when Donny van de Beek came in, he got fouled and his ankle was like massive. Obviously, the Premier League, you've got that every week. So when you've not been playing it for a while, it is going to take a little bit of a toll. But it's nice to see him playing in this game now because it shows it was nothing too serious at all. And hopefully he can get that fitness back up for the game at the weekend and the games to come. Because last season, oh my God, it was so obvious how far behind we were.
Yeah, we were good. Well, it's a good point. And also Southampton, similar to Leeds, the way they play, they press super high. It's very intense. They're very, very fit. And I think today is just all about us getting, we're not quite where we need to be, obviously. So I'm actually quite pleased with doing this match today. And I'm glad it's nice to get a result, even though it's a pre-season. So yeah, we'll let you know if we find out any more info on that. We are trying desperately to find stuff as we go along. But we wanted to talk about a third signing today, Beth. 2 weeks today, everyone. The transfer window shuts. Can someone go to Carrington and tell them this? Because it doesn't feel like there's much urgency. What are we doing?
Honestly, I'm a little bit... I mean, it's one of them things. I feel like if Lingard goes, then maybe is a chance we could get someone else in. But I'm on that wave now. I was talking to a lot of people about it when I was at the game. And my consensus is that we don't want to just bring in any midfielder just to say that we've signed a midfielder. I mean, obviously, something's going to help because we've not got many options at the minute. Anything's going to help. But the last thing I'd want to do is spend like 30 million on a midfielder taking a chance. Doesn't work out. Then you've got to spend another like 50 million next summer. And then it's like you're eating the money down in the budget. Personally, for me, I would rather just spend that money now on a great CDM. I mean, it doesn't have to be a lot of money. If United had done the scouting properly, then we would be able to find someone for a good amount of money. But I'd rather just get someone we know who is good in now and pay that money, because it is hard looking from the outside in, because realistically we have had a good transfer window. Varane and Sancho are great signings, like the best in the positions realistically that we could get. Big names coming into this squad. But you look at it and you think, God, if you just went out there and like got an Ndidi, got like a Declan Rice maybe, like we could be on for the league. And it is so hard to like see that, because it's like, even though you feel greedy, it's like just spend that little bit extra and hopefully you can get there.
It's not greedy though, is it? Because you look at what City are doing or will do probably with Kane and Grealish, obviously. And then you look at Chelsea, who just go, well, here's 120 million. We want that player. And we should be doing that. I don't think we should be. With Man United, we shouldn't be. There's no such thing as being too greedy, right? But you make a good point, actually, Beth, about bringing in someone for the sake of it. And I think at the moment, as of this, what is it, the 17th of August, there's 2 CDMs that it looks, well, box to box CDMs. They're young. They have the potential to be CDMs. One, obviously, is Camavinga that we've spoken about a lot on this channel. A lot of people would take him. It's gone quiet. He's not in a rush. We keep hearing the same shit over and over again. It's, as Mark would say, it's UK gold. But what are your views on that? Do you think it's worth bringing in someone like that? If there's no one else, would you go for a Camavinga?
I would go for Camavinga, yeah. Like the only thing with Camavinga is it's not for the now. As much as people want it to be for the now, let's be honest, Ollie's going to put him in them under 23s. He's going to be on the bench. Yeah. Like, I mean, if Donny can't get a minute, I don't think Camavinga's going to come in and get a minute at the moment. He's very, very... It would take someone big to dislodge McFred, is what I'm seeing at the moment. But Camavinga's a great talent. He's young and he would develop. I think he'd develop well at Man United, and I think eventually he would be a first team starter. I'm not sure if he's quite a CDM. I've not watched him much. I think he's more of like a maybe box to box, but because he's young, you could mold him, and that is a thing with a player like that. 25 million for him at the moment is an absolute steal, because he is a big talent coming through. I mean, all the big teams are interested in him, so that does just show something. But also, you've got someone who can progress. But if you're looking for right now, about going for the league, I don't think Camavinga's the option to do that. But I would still get him in over not signing anyone 100%, because it is something for the future. Yeah,
he's better than thin air. The other player, it reminds me, do you remember when we were linked to that Ecuadorian player that actually went to Everton, the CDM? It kind of came out of nowhere, like bolt from the blue. He never actually, I don't think he's actually played much for Everton, but there's a story going around it. Pape Sarr, who's a Senegalese player, plays for FC Melts. I don't confess to having watched a lot of them last season. FC Melts? Yeah. Doesn't sound like a great name, does it? Exactly. But he's in the same kind of boat of Camavinga. Young player, 18 years old, has played a lot in defensive midfield. Again, has played box to box. There's a lot of stuff in the press yesterday and today. His agent basically doing the rounds, shopping him around. Similar to Camavinga, there seems to be like this kind of tentative interest. Will they, won't they? Where's he going to go? Are you the same with him? Like, would you rather him than no one at this point?
I'm not going to lie, I've not watched him at all. Whereas Camavinga I have. So
Has
with
anyone
Camavinga,
watched him? Let's see if there's anyone in the chat. Maybe I'm
yeah,
sure there'll be
in the
some
chat, is
random.
there anyone who has any idea his level of greatness? Because I could be sat here saying, "Yeah, get him in," and then he's like, "God."
I called it FC Melts, which sounds like something I've Love Island. I meant that. Thank you.
Joel Matic said, "I have. He's good." Well, I'll take your word for it. If he's better than the players that we've got, then yes, I would introduce him to the squad. But if that's going to mean we're not going to sign someone elite, then it kind of makes me think maybe not, because I want to, even if it, I would love for us to kind of be in that title race. It won't happen. Let's be honest, it won't happen. I would love for us to be in that title race if we've not signed someone. And in January, Ollie goes to the bar and says, look, if you want me to get this over the line, I kind of need this midfielder. And then we go and get someone who really, really is ideal for that position. Because at the end of the day, there should be no one off limits. If you're going to offer the money and the chance to play Champions League football and be this a big club, which we are, and we're starting to get further into challenging, we should be able to go in January and try and get someone out of one of them clubs if that's what we need. But again, January is hard because obviously players are needed in their teams, clubs are less likely to sell. But I just would rather get someone who can come straight into that team and make a massive difference.
So who's that for you then, Beth? So there's a bit of chat about Ruben. Actually, I don't know if you saw the overlap with Roy Keane and Gary Neville. And the first thing Roy Keane said is, he basically said McTominay's okay, you can build around him, but he wasn't a Fred fan. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen.
Yeah, and they mentioned Ruben Neves and they mentioned Declan Rice, the same people we've been talking about for months and months and months, and there just isn't. There's nothing on Rice, and particularly after he played really well on the weekend, obviously, and with 2 weeks to go, the price tag it's not going to work. But Ruben Neves, would he be what that elite player that you're looking for?
Ruben Neves, I'm not 100% on him. I'm not going to lie. I know a lot of the chat really, really want him in Manchester United because obviously we do. We are desperate for a CDM right now. The thing is with Ruben Neves, the only thing that worries me is whether he has got I don't know, whether he can be that player that sits there with Bruno and Pogba, because obviously he plays with Moutinho and he plays in a midfield where they do stay quite in the shape at Wolves. And obviously, I want to allow Pogba and Bruno to get forward a lot. But Ruben Neves is a better option than McTominay and Fred in that position. So with Ruben Neves, I would go for it. I think he's a good player. I think he's young. I think he's got that connection with Bruno. The only issue with him is he's not at the top level yet, but he could progress at Manchester United. And do you know what? He's played very well for Wolves, and he is a better player than for Wolves, I think. And I think that move, it could be a make or break for him. So I would get him in. The one player I would ideally want, ideal would be Ndidi. We would be Ndidi, but we're not gonna get him out of Leicester. We should be able to, but Leicester have pulled our pants down once. They're probably going to do it again if we go for Ndidi. And we're probably not going to get him out of Leicester. So that's like an option that's not there. Declan Rice got absolutely spun the weekend by St. Maximin, let's be honest.
It's a great clip, isn't it?
I think he's a great player, but I do think he's overrated and I don't think he's worth that price tag. So when you look at all them options, Ruben Neves does seem to be the most likely one. And someone just put Basuma there. I think Neves was definitely above Basuma for me personally, but Basuma's a good player as well.
I totally disagree. I remember I tweeted actually, I think we played Brighton, when was it, in early this year? And I remember watching it and the way that he played, I said at the time, I think we got to get this guy. I honestly think that he is a player. I don't know why we're nowhere near it. I think for me, this should and could be our third sign. He's not going to be a lot of money. There's been all this chat about, I mean, give him Dan James on a loan 100%. Exchange. Like, I think to me, Basuma would be a really great option. I really think we're missing a trick there. Look, we're missing many tricks. We've missed a lot of tricks for many years.
Maybe something with Basuma then. The only thing when I've watched Basuma in the past, I just don't know if he's got that level to go up. That's my only problem with him. I just don't see if he's actually much better than what we've got at the moment. I know he's young and I know he is playing at Brighton again. And he's got Brighton are very defensive again. So you're not going to get fully found out there as a lone CDM. But I'll watch a little bit more of him, see if you can change my mind.
Well, what about Saul? Because I think he's the one that comes up a lot. I think he played on the left wing for the start of the season in the Liga. But I mean, is that someone you think we should be looking at? I know he's popular. I'm looking at the chat in between people thinking I'm on Love Island and talking about Saul Niguez. It seems to be quite a popular figure.
I like Sol. I think he's a good player, but I don't see again how he comes into his team and fits in with Pogba there, because I don't think he could play in that
Pivot.
position in a pivot with Pogba. I just don't see that working. I don't think he is quite defensive enough for that again. So it is hard because you need the exact right person. But if we sign Sol tomorrow, I wouldn't be disappointed. I think he's a great, great player.
Yeah. So, well, actually, we've got to just take this from Fergus. Thanks for super chat, mate. You can do that in the hitting the dollar sign, by the way. And do hit a like. It's our first time hanging out, and thanks for having us today. And we'd like to come back and do it again. So Fergus says, Varane is back up to Jonesy, right? Great show. Yes, I hope so. He didn't play today. If you're just joining us a bit late, there was a pre-season not pre-season, a behind closed doors match, which has just finished against Burnley. We won 3-1. Varane didn't play and Jonesy did. So maybe that tells you a little bit about what's going to happen this weekend. But yeah, so
I can't believe he refused to give up his number. That is honestly jokes.
You're still salty about that?
I am salty. How dare you sit there and earn a wage of us and do absolutely nothing and then say, no, sorry, you can't have the number 4, as if you're actually going to have a career here. It's honestly baffling.
I mean, I know Mark said it shouldn't really have come out because it's kind of the same thing with Cavani, and then with that kind of got brushed under the rug. But because it's Phil Jones, it's just a bit like, oh, mate, he doesn't help himself, does he?
Honestly, I understand with Cavani because obviously he played extremely well for us just last year and he's a big part of the club. So I understand not wanting to give that up. But for a player that doesn't even play, I'm just like, honestly.
Well, Dennis Zakari didn't play much for Switzerland in the Euros, and I know Mark's a big fan of his. We've talked about him a lot on the chat. Well, you guys have talked a lot about him on the channel. Where's your head at with him? Have you seen much of him? What do you think of him?
I've not seen much of him, if I'm perfectly honest. I've seen bits, like, when people show you the YouTube highlights and stuff like that. So obviously I automatically think he's a world-class player. I'm joking. But I've got to be honest, I've not actually seen much of him. And obviously you kind of look at players, could they come into the Premier League and do that at a big club, take that step up? And I can't honestly sit here and say he could because I've not seen much of him. Would I be excited to would I take that risk on him? Probably yes, from what I've seen. And the way to be honest, I respect Mark's opinion. I respect the people around me's opinion. And if they've seen a lot more of this player than I have, and they're saying he's this great player, then I would be willing to trust that possibly. Obviously, we differ on some things, but I've got to sit here and be honest and be like, I've not watched games of this player. And for me to actually say someone is going to fit into our team and be able to come in and do it straight away, then I want to watch full games of these players the way I have done with Ndidi, the way I have done with Ruben Neves, the way I have done with Basuma. That's what I'd prefer to do. So I can't sit here and say, yes, he can come straight in. But he does look like a very good player from what I've seen of him.
And he fits into that bracket of youngish, affordable midfield. Like we're not talking about Rice money here. We're talking about 20, 30, 35 million euros for Basuma, Neves, and then another one on the screen, Sandro Tonali. Thanks, Romario. He's just gone. He's not going to come to us. He's just gone to.
I would love him though. That's the player that I've watched quite a lot, and I would love having him at the club. But he's just gone. He didn't want to come to us. Let's be honest.
No, I think we did go in last minute. I think, and he didn't.
He wanted to stay, didn't he, in Italy?
Yeah. Well, you find a lot of Italian players don't often. It's unusual to get. I mean, Verratti's. Well, obviously we had Damian for a bit, and that went well. So yeah, but obviously to bring in a third signing, we need to sell. I know Levin this morning covered Pereira. I guess you're very much in the just go. Don't care where, don't care how.
Yeah, I am in that bracket. No, I'd love him to stay. I think he's better than Bruno. What you on about? Nah. Honestly,
I think we all put him in our football manager teams 5 years ago. I did.
Honestly, we all thought he was going to be the next big thing, didn't we? Pre-season Pereira was back again. I mean, hopefully that upped his value a little bit. But to me, honestly, the money's not going into my pocket. I just want the wages off. I just want him out of the squad. I don't want him taking up a bench space. He's not going to work at Manchester United. He's had his chance, and he's just not going to work. He's not quite at that level, and I'd like him to go have a career elsewhere. Hope he does well, but I don't want to see him in the United shirt again. Honestly, that's just my personal opinion. It's the same with a lot of players, though. I would get rid of James tomorrow. I think everybody knows that I don't think he's good enough, but it's just we are a little bit frustrating when it comes to deciding players' futures. We're not quite ruthless with it. Although with Donny, we seem to be.
Yeah, we don't give a shit about Donny. No, but I actually agree with you. I mean, I don't know if this is, I probably shouldn't say it's my unpopular opinion, but I would rather keep Lingard than James.
So would I.
Because I think he can play more positions. He's definitely a better football intelligence wise. He's got an eye for goal.
Got a better finish. Got a better cross.
And he can cover 3 or 4 that goal. You talk about on Saturday, the James. Yeah, I don't know. It's still in the air somewhere, I think. But yeah, I don't get that. It's a strange one to me. And there's a story this morning. I mean, this blew my mind. So the Trippier saga, which just kind of rumbles on and on and on. So his value's been changing for like the last 3 or 4 months. So it started off very low. And I think a lot of us were like, you know what, 20, 30 million would absolutely do the deal. Great signing, bring him in, leadership, experience, blah, 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 all that. There's a story from AS today, which is the kind of Madrid outlet, 60 million euro release clause. And they're not going to budge from that, apparently.
Who's that for again? Sorry.
Trippier.
60 million.
Your face, 60 million euro.
60 million. Are you having a laugh?
Well, that's his release clause. And so, because you remember, they sort of bubbled around a bit. They were saying maybe he will, maybe he won't. Then it went quiet. Now they're saying he won't go for less than that. Which I
I thought it was 40, and I thought that was extreme.
Yeah, exactly.
60 million. They can't be right with that. I'm sorry, Trippier. At the age now in his career, the fact he wants to come back to England as well, he'll be telling them that as well. If United went in and realistically offered about 20 million, surely they would take that for him. He's like, that is his value realistically. I think it's lower than that right now.
Generous, yeah.
I would be a little bit like, if we spent 20 million on him, to be honest, when we've got Dalot and stuff like that. But surely they can't be wanting 60 million.
That's his release clause. So that if you want him, you've got to pay the release clause. Otherwise, it's pretty.
Well, then it's a no-go. If that is true, it's an absolute no-go. No way on this earth would he be worth 60 million. I think he's a good right back. Don't get me wrong. If we got him for like 15, 18 mil, I'd be like, do you know what? It adds squad depth. But he's not 60. He's not 60 million, is he? I mean, I'd rather put that money into a midfielder, if I'm honest.
I think Steve agrees with you. 18 million is Trippier's value. I think that's a fair fee. I think Dalot did quite well, like in the preseason stuff. With Dalot, just quickly, there's a lot of managers around the world that really rate him. Like I know Ancelotti's a big fan, and you kind of like if managers of that caliber are saying he's got. I mean, Fabrizio for what it's worth is a big fan. Like, do we need to? Yeah, how would Trippier be? Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Joy.
That's one thing I've always thought about Dalot. Like when we actually went for him, a lot of big clubs were after him as well. Barca have been interested. I feel Ancelotti's always been interested at Everton and then at Real again as well, I think, even though he did shut that down. And I do think with Dalot, he is a great attacking right back. Attacking wise, he's great. And I think in a different league, it maybe work better for him. But in the Premier League, defensively, you can get found out quite easily. Trippier was a bit like that at the start of his career and he improved a lot. And I think if Dalot could just improve his defensive part of his game, I think he would be extremely good because going forward, he's great. He looks like a winger at times. So if he could just improve that defensive aspect of his game, it doesn't have to be amazing because Trent's not great at defensively either, but it works for him because of the way he plays. If Ollie would give him time to adapt to the Premier League and that defensive aspect of it, I think he could be good, but I don't think Ollie's going to give him enough game time for that.
No, I absolutely agree. We'll get on to some outgoings in a sec. Paris, thanks for your super chat there, mate. Yeah, do smash a like on the video if you're watching live, by the way. And Mark will be back at some point. I don't know, watching me.
James' first show, he's doing great.
Yeah, thank you. Well, let's get on to some outgoings, Beth, because we are getting toward that time now where I think this is always going to happen at the end of the season. And finally, it looks like Brandon Williams is going to go to Norwich.
I'm happy about that.
Yeah, happy. I'm a little bit cautious. I mean, they've got Max Aarons at right back, and they did have they bought a left back who actually I thought did quite well against Liverpool. So, do you think he's going to get the game time he maybe needs?
Surely he's going to get game time if they're getting him. I didn't know about that left back, to be honest. But I thought he would get game time if they're going to pay that loan fee and get him in. If he just back up, then I don't see the point of it whatsoever.
This is another thing.
He should be good enough to get in Norwich. I'm sorry, he should be. And if he's not, that's just another question mark.
Well, that probably tells us all we need to know, right, about his kind of future as a United player.
When I heard he was going to Norwich, I thought, yes, he'll be getting in at left back week in, week out. And he's going to get some game time in the Premier League as well, which could really help him. But if he's not even going to, this is a thing with Axel as well that's happened. He's gone to Villa, but I don't think he's going to see the starting 11. And if that happens again with Williams, I don't understand the point of it whatsoever. They should be going to teams where they're going to get first team football.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
If it has to be, Southampton were very interested in him. That didn't end up happening because his wages are too high. And Norwich paying his wages as well. I think it's like 50,000 a week or something.
This is another thing to bear. Like, you know how everyone's been like, oh, John Mercer, Ed Woodward, killing it this year. We actually didn't get. I think they wanted £2 million loan fee for Brandon to go to Norwich. I don't think we got anywhere near that. So we are getting rid of players, but we're not getting the balance of the finances to go with it. So I think we're paying a little bit, and they're not paying anywhere near what they maybe should have been. So it's a tricky one. And
I think he
Kieran
must have to get game time there.
Well, Kieran says he's not getting any games at United, which I think is pretty obvious, especially if Delo stays and with Tellez coming back, it doesn't feel likely. And then another outgoing, there's been a lot of chat about Ahmad recently. I'd love to see him stay. We talked about Dan James. I think there's a lot of, as Mark often says, there's a lot of players blocking that part of the first team. Ahmad to Sheffield United on loan, coming in from a Turkish journalist. I'll probably get his name wrong. Kremlin Kuna on Twitter. To be fair, I've been quite reliable in the past. I had a little flick through, but Sheffield United for Ahmad, I mean, can you see that?
I mean, I would rather not. I was one of the people that said I would like him to see him get a bit of game time at Manchester United. But if he's definitely going to get absolutely nothing, which is what's looking likely, I would like him to go to a Premier League team. I think he's good enough to go to a Premier League team. Heard Crystal Palace were interested. I thought that'd be a great move.
And Patrick Vieira as well.
Eze.
French speaking, it would be a nice combo.
And they have wingers going forward, and he would get a lot of game time now, and we would see him play. And I think that would be great. If he goes to Sheffield United, the one thing that worries me might be different in the Championship because they are down there this year. Last year you saw Brewster from Liverpool go there, and his career kind of flatlined. They don't really play attacking football. It was quite defensive. Maybe because they were in the Premier League, it might change this year. But I just didn't see that flair in their style that Ahmad would suit. I mean, any first game football is better than nothing, don't get me wrong. And I think he would get it there. But I would like to see him at a Premier League team, or maybe even in the Bundesliga that was being talked about. I'd prefer that to Sheffield United, if I'm honest. But at least he's getting used to English football if he does go there.
Well, I think Dortmund would have been a great move for him. The kind of football they play. I don't know. I know. I often think the same about Martial. I think we will keep Martial. Whether we will in the future, I don't know. But I think he'd do really well in a team like that. And so same for Ahmad, and FIFA Tube agreeing with you, saying Palace would be perfect for Ahmad as well. Yeah, I would have liked to see him.
Zaha and Eze, it would be great.
Yeah, I'd like to have seen. Agree. Yeah, a lot of people agreeing with you that Sheffield United it probably isn't the right move for him.
I just think it would be a bit lackluster for him, but I don't know. Might prove me wrong.
Let's hope so. And then kind of last sort of big story to touch on today is, I mean, I didn't really want to get into this because I think it worries me that we're talking about, there's a lot of stuff about Erling Haaland, because to me that says we're not doing anything else for the next 2 weeks, but next year it's going to be brilliant. And I'm like, we've been here before. It's always, don't worry in January, don't worry in the summer, don't worry next year. There's reports coming in this morning from Ralph Honigstein. He's quite a reputable journalist, actually. A lot of people like him on Twitter. Saying that United are really going to push for Haaland. I think that's slow sports news. We know that. There's the Ole connection, which obviously worked out really well the first time. But then quite interesting, the release clause is 75 million euros, but supposedly will go to 90 if he meets certain conditions this season, which you would assume are like add-ons and bonuses. And based on how he played in the game on the weekend, I think he's probably going to go for 90 million. So it kind of brings that conversation back in again. And Haaland, and I know you're a big fan, would you still do it for 90 million? I feel like I know the answer, but
100%, 100%. I think if we got Haaland next year, I think the thing is, I keep thinking to myself, this could actually happen, but then that little thing in the back of my mind where everything always goes wrong in our transfers is like, no, don't get excited. Don't get
that
excited.
Little thing is Ed Woodward.
Yeah, exactly. That little thing is last season's incomings. Don't even get started. But I just think he would be unreal for us. I think he would come in and I think he would smash it. And I think that would be he would be up there with like a Bruno signing. Like, it would be great. And to get him in with Sancho as well, who he's already got a connection with, would be unreal. The only thing, there's factors with it. One, he's going to want massive wages. We've got to deal with Riola again.
Oh God!
But he's an unreal striker, and he'll probably take us to maybe the Premier League. Like, that's how good he is. And I think there's a lot more chances now. Now Chelsea's gone for Lukaku. If Harry Kane does go to City and he wants to play in the Premier League, we are really the only option. But obviously his dad has a lot of handling in his deals, and that's a little factor as well. I'm like, right.
That went well, didn't it? Yeah, cheers. Well, yeah, I think Evan said Haaland should be first choice. Well, it is dangerous, though, to already be talking about next year targets. Like I said, to me, that's a bit of an alarm bell, because if they're putting stuff out that we're talking about next season, we still got 2 more weeks left of this one. Like, I don't know. And I guess the kind of caveat to the Haaland thing is Greenwood. And it's I can see people saying in the chat, what about Mason? And I think Ole actually, I don't know if you saw the post-match press conference. Ole, I think, kind of gave a little nod towards this and said, I think someone asked him about Greenwood being a number 9. He said, "Who said he was a number 9?" You know, I think to me that's very much Ollie saying, "I want to play a fluid front three."
Yeah.
I think he sees Mason kind of interchangeable, and I think Haaland he loves him, doesn't he?
Yeah, he loves Haaland, and I think Haaland is his target. We know how much we wanted to get him that January before we got Bruno in, and obviously that didn't happen. And I think he is sticking with Haaland as his main target. But getting Haaland in doesn't mean Greenwood doesn't develop, because Cavani's leaving. Cavani is like the Haaland of this year. He's going to be probably first choice when he comes back in. And Greenwood is still going to get game time. Do not get that wrong. And you need a bit of squad depth in that area.
Well, it's the same in the midfield. Like, yeah, we're stacked, but also we're going to lose between 1 and 3 midfielders next year. Like a minimum of 1 probably, and maximum we could lose 3. We could lose Donny, Pogba, and Matic. Yeah. So I know there's a lot of, when you put the charts up and you see 6 midfielders, you're like, yeah, well, where they're going to fit in, but we won't be in that situation next year. And yeah, Matthew saying Haaland's a well beater, but his agent's the biggest problem. And I think we're seeing a changing. I don't know what you think about this, Beth. A changing in the way football transfers are going down, and we're seeing more and more players running down their contracts, Riola clients mostly, because clubs can't afford the big transfer fees, but they can pay the big wages. So I think we're going to see more and more of that, aren't we?
100%. And it's got Riola written all over it. As much money as he can get from it, and that's what he'll do.
Well, that's it worries me about Camavinga, because Jonathan Barnett is kind of in that Riola. His agent is in that same kind of category, and I just feel like I can see it. I think they've seen us coming again. I think Camavinga will probably end up going to PSG and like just messing us about, but we'll see. I mean, I would love to get him in, but it's just one of them. We'll see. But I won't be surprised, because United do usually love like a last minute deal, don't they? They love it. Just to get the fans excited again. And I wouldn't be surprised to see, not maybe a big name, but if we get rid of Lingard, or I don't know, if other players go out, Pereira, I mean, we're not going to get much money for him, but it's a wage off the books. It's a wage off the books still. I could see us maybe getting someone we don't even realise within like the last week, but it would be exciting. But I'm not getting my hopes up, to be honest, because we've not really heard much. Like when we have Varane and Sancho, it was like for weeks and weeks and weeks. I mean, Man United is like a sieve. The information just leaks out. So the fact there's nothing at the moment, I'm thinking they are kind of focusing on getting that money for players going out. Sanderberg.
Like him. I do like him quite a lot, and I wouldn't be disappointed in the deal, but I don't think, again, for me, I've got high standards. What can I say? I don't think he's worth going to get.
Do you remember when we thought we'd signed him? Was it last year in the back of the cab, and it was a goalkeeper, and everyone lost their shit? I just always say, but I think you're right. I think and Ollie's upset. He talks about it a lot. Maybe we'll sign someone that no one expects. I think we could go for like a bit of a red, like a bolt from the blue. Has anyone in mind that you're like, oh, do you know what? That'd be a nice surprise.
Honestly, I have no idea, because I just think last year when it was like Ahmad and Palestri, we didn't see that coming, did we? And it was a madness. It could be, it's probably going to be someone young. To be honest, I won't be surprised we've seen Camavinga come in, but I won't be surprised if it was. But it seems like he's kind of trying to wait for next year, but Rennes is trying to push it. So I don't know. At the end of the
he doesn't want to come.
I think, wow, I'm out. I want to make this move, but I think it's going to be one of them that happens quite quickly. I mean, Fabrizio said on the show before, if Man United wanted, they could get Ruben Neves sorted within 24 hours, because one, he would move, Wolves would sell, and United can pay the money. So we'll just see. Something might happen, something might not, but I hope it does. We'll see. We
pray. And actually, a Zero Blade, mate, he did get relegated, but he also didn't play a lot of last season, did he?
No, I think he was injured for the majority of it. I think he got injured in the first game or something like that.
And I know there was a lot about him playing quite well in the championship games. He did very well in pre-season, but then Pereira did, so that's probably not a particular.
Is there anyone that you're looking at?
I think keep an eye on Sarr. Not the one from Watford, although he was very good on the weekend. I think it's so out of nowhere that to me there could be something in it, and it definitely seems like we're angling for that young CDM box to box that could become a CDM in the mold of a kind of Carrick that we could develop. I don't think I'd be surprised if it's someone more established, because I just don't think we've got the money or the space in the squad to do it. I mean, is Ollie going to stick? Can you see Ollie starting Neves alongside Pogba against someone in the Champions League?
No.
I think
I would hope to see it, but no.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's a good shout from. Oh no, not that one. Lloyd, there you are. It's a good thing. Yeah, Lloyd says Calvin Harris would like to be United. What you thought? I mean, he wouldn't come, I don't think, because he's a Leeds lad, local lad. But
It is one of them things that is so frustrating because one, he won't come, but I think he would be unreal for us. I honestly do. I think he'd be great, and I don't even care that he's from Leeds. I would love to get him in, but he won't come. I don't think he's ever going to come in a million years to us.
How do we know that Calvin? Who did I say? Oh, Calvin. Calvin. Yeah, maybe I say. Well, at this point, I think Calvin Harris will be better than Calvin Phillips at United. We need an Ndidi player, says Sadiq. That's your dream, innit?
That is my dream. That is my number one, but it's not going to happen. Never say never. I mean, if United wanted to surprise me with Ndidi on deadline day, I mean, be my guest. But
I'm getting trolled for saying Calvin Harris.
Of, like, yeah.
Calvin Harris playing for Leeds is messed that one up a little bit. Well, that kind of concludes things today, Beth. I mean, just to recap, if you've just joined us a little bit late, we did play a pre-season. Well, I keep saying pre-season. It feels like it's a pre-season game, a behind closed doors game. Which seems to come out of nowhere. We won 3-1. Maguire scored a header for the second time in quick succession. Fred scored for the second time in a week. And Lingard scored. Do you think, a quick one on that, do you think that's going to impact on whether he goes or not?
No. I think it's been the same all along. It's either West Ham pay the money or they don't pay the money. I think if West Ham came in now with the money that we want, I think he would go. But I think Jesse he's not 100% about going there. So it's one of them. I feel like it's a 50-50 situation. I don't think it really affects it because they know how good he was like last season for them. It's good though that he's scoring goals.
Yeah, but you can just imagine Ollie being like, "Oh, he scored. This could be it."
Oh my God, no. But at the same time, I wouldn't mind Jesse as a squad player. I really wouldn't. I think he's decent, but for his own career, he does need to get first team football. So if he chose to stay and was happy being a squad player, for me that would be fine. Like I think he would be a good squad player, but for himself, he should go and do something. He should go and be first team. But it's up to him what happens, or up to the club anyway.
Yeah, Rogers, we did talk about Basuma earlier. That would be my third. That would be my pick. I would absolutely go for Basuma. Best not convinced. Cheap and solid. I think he can be more than that. I think if an Arsenal got him, or if he went to somewhere like a Leicester, we would be annoyed because I think he's gonna go and do some good things.
I'm gonna watch him closely at the weekend.
Yeah,
very closely. I've watched him before, but
not too closely. So we'll wait and see. 2 weeks to go. We'll hopefully. Well, I guess we'll have Fabrizio back on at some point and get some clarity on what's happening. But why is Beth shaking?
Back next Monday.
She is. Are you shaking, Beth? Are you okay? No.
I've had too much coffee.
She's buzzing. She's excited about looking at Basuma very closely.
I'm so excited to get a third signing in. That's what it is.
Thanks, Renato, for James. But thanks for being with us this afternoon, or wherever you are in the world if it's not the afternoon. It's my first show. Great job, Bet. Do smash like on the video. We'd like to come back and do this again. So
we would. I've had a great time, and you've had a great debut as well.
Thank you. You've got to go some food shopping, haven't you?
Food shopping? No,
she's got to go to work.
I can't tell people where I'm going.
No, don't. Well, on that slightly creepy note, we shall end. We'll be back with a video tonight, 8:00. I don't know who it will be yet, but Mark will be back at some point. And thanks for staying with us, and have a good Tuesday.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers, guys. See ya.